If you love the roguelike genre just like me, we are in luck, because RoboQuest has finally come out of early access and is being very well received by other players just like us. But just the same as any other roguelite, there are unique mechanics and systems to understand in order for us to get the best possible gear and tear right through those baddie bosses. Hello my friends, it's Khan here, and today we're diving into our beginner guide to RoboQuest. We will discuss important mechanics, map layout, UI elements, and go over our 5 best tips and strategies to rocket you into your Robo journey. True to fashion, RoboQuest takes advantage of essential roguelite mechanics. With each new run, you only start off with a weak handgun and a prayer that the RNG gods are in your favor. As you progress, randomized weapons and items will appear in chests and from fallen enemies. Along with this loot, each time your robot levels up, you will be rewarded with random class upgrades for you to choose from. It is our job as the player to make the right choices and build the best combinations of weapons, items, and upgrades to ensure that we're capitalizing on our robot's strengths, which in turn will allow us to have a long-lasting run filled with Robo Rampage. But in order for us to make those right choices, we need to better understand the various systems of the game, including the class system. The class system itself is not a new feature to roguelites, but there are very important variations between each class in RoboQuest. It's important for us to take some time and play each class to learn their strengths and their weaknesses if we're going to find the class that's best for us. When we first start playing RoboQuest, we only have the option to play as the Guardian, as the other classes are locked. Luckily, the Guardian is one of the strongest classes in the game due to his ability to generate a safety bubble which allows him to become invulnerable for a certain amount of time. Because of this, he has the most survivability of all the classes in the game, and if you're playing solo, he will be a strong choice in most cases. But this game does not leave any class in the dust as they all have unique abilities, upgrades, and roles. The Recon class allows us to teleport short distances and excels in close quarter combat. You can use his ability Blink to close the gap between a weak enemy or get to a vantage point that would normally be out of reach. The Engineer class has the ability to deploy floating turrets to aid him in battle, while dealing large amounts of elemental damage himself. The Commando class focuses largely on high DPS with his ability to shoot rockets and his passive ability that allows him to increase his attack and movement speed with each kill. This class excels at both high damage to a single target as well as crowd control. The Ranger is going to be our stealth-based class. He deploys a decoy and turns invisible for a short period of time, along with building large amounts of critical strike damage. The Ranger is the best with weapons that have high accuracy to ensure that you're hitting the enemy weak spots as often as possible. And finally, the Elementalist is the spellcasting class. Dealing all elemental effects, this class is the best choice for players who like to use ranged spells and status effects. Each time you level up, you will be rewarded with a class upgrade. Some are general upgrades like increased fire rate or critical strike damage, which can be obtained by all classes. But others are class specific and can only be acquired by the classes that they are unique to. Upgrading is a vital system in RoboQuest. It gives the player some control of how to build their class. It's a good idea to choose upgrades that synergize well with each other. For example, if you choose the Engineer's Elemental Weapon upgrade, which allows you to choose an element of your choice to apply to all weapons, you will want to keep an eye out for his Elemental Mastery upgrade. These two upgrades alone make the Engineer an elemental monster. Continue to pick class upgrades that work well with each other to give yourself the best chance of survival. Now, before we dive into our top 5 strategies to help you become better at RoboQuest, I think it's important to briefly discuss the systems that every player loves the most, the loot system. Similar to most roguelites, RoboQuest has a rarity system for its loot. Referred to as the weapon's quality, The rarity of each gun and item will determine how powerful it is. The rarity of loot ranges from common, uncommon, superior, epic, and fantastic. When focusing on guns, each weapon in the game can be found in all 5 rarities, but the rarity of the gun is only one of several aspects to keep in mind. Each weapon has different base stats, such as damage, rate of fire, elemental effect, and crit multiplier. Weapons also have random stat bonuses called affixes. Affixes are arguably the most important aspect of a weapon and will have the biggest impact on its effectiveness. When comparing weapons, be sure to take the weapon's affixes into consideration before making your decision. The final aspect of a weapon to keep in mind is its alt fire. Some guns will spawn with a random alternate fire ability. Some of these alt-fire abilities can be game-changing, ranging from a grenade launcher, to a melee attack that generates more health, to a deployable turret. Alt-fires will give your build much more versatility and depth to work with. Now that we understand weapons, let's check out items. Different to guns, the rarity is specific to the items themselves. Just like weapons, you can find items in chests, as well as buy them from friendly robots throughout your adventure. Choose items that you can take advantage of immediately and that will impact your build in a positive way. Now that we've discussed the game's mechanics and systems, let's talk about our 5 beginner tips that will help you be better at RoboQuest. For our first tip, speed is king. As you play throughout your journey, you will notice that at the end of each level you are given a letter grade of how well you performed. One category you are ranked on is XP, and the other is time. In-game, both are shown under your minimap as progress bars. Scoring the highest rank in both categories will be important in order for you to maximize on your power cell bonuses after each level. The XP category indicates how many enemies you eliminate on that level, but the time category is where things get interesting. This game is built around speed. Each class has unlimited sprint, and the rails scattered throughout the map will give you a boost of speed. You should always use these to your advantage and be constantly moving. This will not only help you get a higher rank on the time category, it'll also greatly increase the chances of enemy projectiles missing your character. The next strategy up, aim for the enemy's weak spot. When shooting an enemy robot in its eye, you are guaranteed a critical strike and will automatically deal additional damage. And depending on your weapon's crit multiplier, this additional damage can be substantial. Constantly hitting these weak spots will significantly increase your overall damage and your effectiveness throughout your run. For our third tip, think about your build early. With any roguelite, there is one thing that you can count on, that RNG is going to control your life. RNG, or random number generator, is what dictates the randomized loot that you get in each run. There will be times where you want to pick up upgrades and items in hopes that you will find a specific weapon that will synergize and pull everything together. The odds are that you may never come across that specific weapon, and now you're stuck with a build that is not optimized. When starting off, it's best to think about your build early on and choose items and upgrades that will help you out sooner rather than later. The next tip on the list, Sam's friends are here to help. Sam's robots are very impactful throughout your run. From providing you heals, items to purchase, and weapon upgrades, these friendly robots are here to help you increase your odds of finally tuning your build the way you want. Keep this in mind when spending wrenches back at base camp. Lastly, our final tip may be obvious, but it's vital in any roguelite, that guns are useless if you have no health. It's easy to get consumed with all the loot and various strategies in the game, but the most important strategy of them all is staying alive. Your health won't regenerate over time. Instead, you're left to picking up healing orbs from fallen enemies to regain lost health. It's up to you as the player to make sure you collect them as much as possible, while still fighting the urge to jump into a pile of hostile enemies just to pick up 3 health. And that is our beginner's guide to RoboQuest. We can now take our newfound knowledge to the Oasis and begin creating overpowered builds to shred through some Robo scrap metal. Click the video on your screen to see our newest video about RoboQuest to continue your training to become a Robo expert. We appreciate you for sticking around, and thanks for watching.